Hey guys, it's Victoria here, and today I'm going to tell you a story about one of the oldest, most villainous, most destructive dragons to have ever existed in the multiverse. Nicol Bolas. Way back in Magic the Gathering's history, before the Brothers' War even began, there was a council of elder dragons. One of these dragons was named Nicol Bolas, and he wanted to be viewed as the greatest of the great, so he sought to destroy the rest of the Elder Dragon Council. It was a vicious struggle, and it tore apart the fabric of countless planes, but in the end, Nicol Bolas emerged from it victorious and as a Planeswalker. Now, like I said, Nicol Bolas is one of the oldest beings in the entire multiverse, so let's fast forward a few thousand years to when Bolas is on Dominaria. At this point in time, Dominaria is still a relatively new plane. This is where Bolas fought against the demonic Leviathan. The battle itself lasted an entire month and reduced Madeira, a country on Dominaria, to a third of its original size. The fight also created the very first temporal rift. After the battle, Bolas, being the beast that he is, feasted on the remains of his foe. By doing so, he absorbed the Leviathan's power, and by the time he was done, all that was left was a pile of blubber, which later became known as the Talon Gates. Nicol Bolas considers these gates as one of his finest trophies, and he often returns to Madeira to visit them, as we will see later in his story. So you may wonder, why was Bolas in Madeira in the first place? It was because 3 mana lines intersected Madeira. Blue from the Sweeto River, black from Madeira's various swamps, and red from the Gidiate Mountains. Bolas had grown so powerful at this point that he needed the tremendous amount of mana, or else the plane would have been overwhelmed and its foundation would have cracked due to his presence. Nicol Bolas gained control of Madeira after killing the Empress. He then erected an imperial shrine in the middle of the 3 mana lines. The shrine became the location where the highest-ranking officers in the Madeiran Empire could have an audience with their new emperor, Nicol Bolas. It wasn't long before Bolas was challenged by Tetsuro Umezawa. Now, Tetsuro was determined to slay Bolas. He used the Meteor Hammer spell, which caused a Warhammer to fly up into the sky until it reached the edge of the atmosphere. From there, it could plummet like a meteor on Tetsuro's command. The hammer was able to destroy Bolas's imperial shrine while Bolas was inside of it. This severed the dragon's anchor to Dominaria. Bolas had abandoned his body and followed Tetsuro to the meditation plane, but at this point, Bolas was in a weak state, and Tetsuro was able to kill him. But of course, the story of Nicol Bolas does not end this easily. A ghostly remnant of his life force still lingered in the rift, connected to the meditation realm. For a long time, Bolas remained present in his land under the alias of Sensei Ryu. The lands that were once his became overrun by the Nikoru. But Bolas saw an opportunity to escape his prison when he sensed Teferi, a human wizard who had become lost in a time rift. Bolas arranged for Teferi to arrive on the Madeiran beach near the Talon Gates. Then, by using Venzer's latent Planeswalker spark, Bolas was able to be reborn into the physical world. Teferi then challenged Bolas to a duel, although this was not wise. Bolas was able to win the battle by absorbing and just planeswalking away from all of Teferi's attacks. Then Bolas, just being Bolas, tortured Teferi with his mind-shattering touch and ripped his body into pieces. Bolas even taunted Teferi's allies by placing his head in his claw. While doing so, Bolas learned from Teferi just how bad the rift problem was, and he learned of all the collapsing planes. This greatly upset Bolas, and he vowed right then to take terrible vengeance on anyone who was related to Tetsuro Umezawa, or anyone who had even had contact with him. So now, Bolas decides to travel to the plane of Kamigawa, where he encounters Myojin of Night's Reach. She was the Great Spirit, or Kami of black magic there. She was one of the most powerful spirits, yet Bolas was able to strip Night's Reach of most of her power. He destroyed her domains and turned all of her worshippers against her. He also obtained from her a porcelain mask that was capable of drawing black mana from his enemies. Luckily, Night's Reach managed to escape in the end, although her current status is still unknown. Nicol Bolas eventually returned to Madeira, where he was attacked by yet another Planeswalker, Leshrac. Once again, Bolas won the duel, and Leshrac was imprisoned in the mask of the Myojin of Night's Reach. At this point, tons of interplanar rifts were open. Bolas found Teferi once again and confessed to him and his companions that he had observed the rift phenomenon. It was a huge problem, and many people were sacrificing themselves to close these rifts. Bolas felt it was his responsibility to close the Madeiran rift, but he of course wasn't going to sacrifice himself. So instead, he used Leshrac's life to do it. Even after closing this rift, the multiverse was still in really bad shape. Bolas didn't even believe that Teferi and his band would be able to prevent the imminent collapse of the multiverse. So he decided to leave for an unknown location in an attempt to preserve his own life. Fortunately, the multiverse was able to survive in the end, thanks to Jeska's mending spell. It sealed the last major rift, and caused all the remaining fractures to heal in a chain reaction. By doing so, it enabled mana to flow freely throughout Dominaria once again, and returned life to the dying world. However, this spell also caused planeswalkers such as Nicol Bolas to lose their immortality and some of their godlike powers. This did not make Bolas weak by any means though. He still had the formidable powers of an elder dragon, and he still had his unmatched intellect. A little while after the mending spell, Bolas came across Liliana Vess. She had also been weakened by the mending spell and was extremely jealous that Bolas appeared almost unaffected by it. He berated her by stating that he had lost more power than she could learn in a dozen lifetimes. They decided to strike up a deal. Bolas would help her to restore some of her power and youth, and she in turn would give him her service at some point in the future. Bolas then traveled to the plane of Alara, where he dwelled in the Shard of Grixis. He went there to take advantage of the conflux, an event that most people were completely unaware was going to happen. It was a natural event that was going to bring the separated shards of Alara back together into a single plane. Of course, this reunion of the shards would create conflicts between the inhabitants of the different shards, especially if the inhabitants found themselves suddenly trapped in another shard's territory. Bolas manipulated many individuals and organizations in each of the shards and created an environment full of tension, one that was ready for war. This was when Bolas first met an artificer named Tezzeret. The Elder Dragon offered him power in exchange for Tezzeret's servitude. Now, Tezzeret was a great prodigy, and he was planning to destroy Bolas from the very instant he came under his rule. Bolas, of course, trusts no one, and he had anticipated this. So what follows is a string of them trying to outsmart each other. Bolas is attempting to keep Tezzeret under his thumb, while Tezzeret is attempting to slay Bolas. A little while later, Bolas founded an interplanar consortium. It was a mercantile organization that spanned across several planes. However, Tezzeret decided to usurp it in a bloody coup d'etat. Tezzeret knew that Bolas could read minds, so he attempted to counter this ability by enlisting the help of another planeswalker, Jace Beleren. This did not end well for Tezzeret and Jace, as Bolas was able to overwhelm both of them mentally. Bolas's hired barbarian horde was almost even able to kill Jace and Tezzeret, but in the end, the two planeswalkers escaped with their lives. After this encounter, Jace and Tezzeret turned on each other. Jace crushed Tezzeret's mind and defeated him. And as it turns out, this had been Bolas's plan all along. Liliana Vess had developed this scheme for him as a way to regain control of his interplanar consortium. From this, Bolas also obtained Tezzeret's body, which was still living, although mindless and crippled. Bolas slowly rebuilt Tezzeret in his own twisted image in order to have what he hoped would be a lifelong spy with immense power. The rest of Bolas's plan came to fruition through Alara's conflux. He had been successful in his manipulation of the people in the 5 shards, and he triggered an all-out war in Alara. This awakened the obelisk of mana on each of the shards and caused the maelstrom to grow in magnitude. Bolas then harvested the essence of most of the maelstrom. During this time, Bolas also acquired the servitude of Sarkhan Vol, who helped him to spread his destruction across Naya. Soon afterwards, Bolas came into conflict with yet another Planeswalker, Ajani. He was currently on a quest to find his brother's killer. Now, Ajani knew that he could not defeat the Dragon God on his own, so he summoned the essence of Bolas's own soul to fight against Bolas. It became a perfectly symmetric battle. Both dragons lunged at each other with powerful bites. They connected simultaneously, and in a flash of light, both of the dragons disappeared. Bolas was injured from this fight, although it is unknown to what extent his injuries were. At some point in his timeline, Nicol Bolas took notice of the volatile plane Zendikar. He went there to investigate the Eye of Ugin, which was a secret underground cavern. It was inside this cavern that a spell had long ago imprisoned the Eldrazi through the use of hedrons. After studying the cavern, Bolas assigned Sarkhan Vol to guard the Eye of Ugin and to make sure that nothing disturbed it. This was not Bolas's true intention though. Bolas had actually sought out and defeated Ugin. While doing so, he learned a great deal of information about the Eldrazi and how they were locked away. Bolas knew what it would take to unleash them again, and that is why he sent Sarkhan to the Eye. He also manipulated Chandra Nalaar and Jace into arriving at the same time. Why Bolas wanted the release of the Eldrazi is still unknown. Now, let's look for a second at the plane of Tarkir. We see Yasova Dragonclaw, who was the Khan of the Temur, and she had sought to end the reign of Tarkir's oppressive dragons. Now, this destruction coincided with the ambitions of our very own elder dragon, Nicol Bolas. So, Nicol decided to manipulate her by sending her a vision. She saw a peaceful and idyllic Tarkir that was littered with the bones of dragons. There was also a great dragon in her vision with the scales of burnished gold and a golden orb floating between his horns. He promised Yasova that if she would lead him to the lair of Ugin, the spirit dragon, then he would slay him, and the dragons of Tarkir would be no more. Yasova was just a pawn to Bolas in his overall plot to kill Ugin, but she fell for his mind tricks and ended up leading him right there. Ugin was then immediately killed by Nicol Bolas. Now, about 1200 years later, Sarkhan Vol actually travels back to this specific moment in time and saves Ugin from Bolas's destruction, thus changing the entire time stream. Bolas was also interested in the war that was taking place on Mirrodin. He sent Tezzeret as his eyes and ears to observe the plane and the new Phyrexians. Tezzeret was supposed to delay the rise of a central leader in the Phyrexian hierarchy, but this mission was doomed to fail from the start. So that is all of Nicol Bolas' story so far. He is one of the best antagonists in the Magic the Gathering storyline. The Theros god Kruphix even considers Bolas to be one of the biggest future threats to his plane, possibly even worse than the Eldrazi in New Phyrexia. But Kruphix doesn't even know the full extent of Bolas's power, because the version he sensed through Ajani's memories is merely a shell of the dragon and does not accurately display Bolas's true power. The threat of Bolas continues to loom over the multiverse, and we will just have to wait and see what's going to happen next. Please like, subscribe if you want to see more videos on Magic the Gathering lore. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.